I'm Katie Clancy, Chief House Hawker for the Cape House at William Ravis.
And I'm Sarah Lapsley Martin of T. Martin Lapsley at Kinlan Grover Real Estate. And this is What's Good Cape Cod, where we show you the Cape through the eyes of a couple of locals.
Every week we tell you about a person, a place, and a thing that we think you should know about.
So this episode is actually all about the arts pivoting during the pandemic. First, we have a musical duo who has gotten creative during COVID, an arts hotspot that steps in to help fight the pandemic, and old music, new ideas for the pillar of the arts community.
That's right.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
So the person this week is actually two people, correct?
Yes. So the person this week is actually John Redden and Mary Lindbergh. They are a couple that make up the band, The Silent Trees. So they are a local band. Marty and I, and of course, little Liv, we've seen them countless times.
Let me just pause for a moment.
Yeah.
You are a consumer of live music like nothing I've ever seen.
Yes.
I am so impressed. Like
Yes.
you're like, girl, I'm going out, and you just like Liv goes with you. You just go.
You got to, and it's fun. Marty and I have always been huge music fans, and whether that's big bands or local musicians, there's so many local musicians in our community that are amazing, and we're lucky to have them here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
No, truly, and John and Mary have been there through lots of different stages in our lives. When Marty and I were just moving back, and then they actually played after our wedding. We had like a post-wedding pool party, so they were the band that we hired. And then, of course, like, I was pregnant and I would be out dancing, and then I have Liv, and now Liv comes out and got her little headphones, and so they've been with us for a while. We love it. Yeah, exactly. So John, he teaches private music lessons. So because of the pandemic, everything's over Zoom now. His students age from like 5 to 35. So most of them have adapted and got on Zoom. Other people are kind of waiting to have in-person lessons, just depending on what their situation is.
Yeah.
And Mary, she's a private home caregiver. So she takes care of 3 women. They're between ages of 86 and 100. And she, she's amazing. And she's so grateful to be able to have a job during the pandemic, but of course needs to take all these extra precautions because she's working with high risk patients.
Yeah, sure.
So that's what they do by day, but by night they would, come out and play. They were doing a lot of virtual performances like on their Facebook and stuff. But they also teamed up with some other artists for virtual performances, which were charity events. So one of them was a tribute to the frontline, and it was a live stream for frontline workers and first responders across the country. So that was, that's a great way to give back. And then another one was a music festival by the Quell Foundation, and it was dedicated to students who graduated in 2020. And the foundation works to normalize the conversation of mental health, and really, needs to be talked about this day and age. And their focus is to reduce the number of suicides, overdoses, and incarcerations. And so playing these virtual shows, they collected donations and they were able to help other people in need. So it's kind of cool that they could do these Zoom virtual things and really help out the community. But the thing that I really thought was really cool that they did was once it got a little warmer, so the end of May, they decided to just start playing on their front lawn. So they live in Falmouth.
On their own front lawn.
Their own front lawn. So they live in Falmouth and they just opened up their front lawn. People had to be socially distanced, and people would bring their lawn chairs. Some people would drive from different parts of town and just pull up their cars and listen from their cars, whatever they felt comfortable with. But it was a way of really bringing people together with music. And there was an article that was just about them in the Falmouth Enterprise. And which is so nice to, feature them. And one of the neighbors wrote a card, and the neighbor called it music therapy at its finest. And I just thought that was amazing. And her quote was, "You may not think you're making a difference in the world right now, but you have made a huge difference in our lives." I know. And it's just such a sense of community to bring people together in these trying times. And music brings us together. And they had to pivot. And, luckily they were able to play outdoors at places like Cape Cod Coffee. the Cape Cod Winery. They played at the Igloos at
Yes.
Knockabout, because Knockabout's one of their places. But the cool thing was, for Christmas, they started doing cameos. So like,
So smart. They're so smart.
so we actually, you could get a personalized greeting. So we bought one for Liv. Liv's a super fan. She's always like front row at their concerts. So they played one of her favorite songs, and they played like a Christmas song, and they sent us the video. So I got to show it to her for a Christmas present, and she loved it because they were talking like directly to her. And then you still can do this. They're offering a private Zoom concert. So you can pay them and they can do a private concert. You can pick the tunes. So it's just something that they're doing to be a little more interactive, but a great way to try to pivot and still do what they love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, that is just so
Really cool.
And I love it. They just like, we're going to make this happen.
They got
And yep. Like I said, leave it to the creatives.
Exactly.
That's why we have this whole show is about the arts and the pandemic, because everything that them and restaurants have been just so incredibly changed by having to sort of exist in this. So on that note, see what I did there? The Melody Tent. So you're a season ticket holder, are you not? At the Melody Tent?
Gold Club member. Yep. All the way. We live in Hyannis, so it's not too far from us. It's amazing that we have this in our backyard.
It's true. And you can go, I've been to a bunch of all kinds of different shows at the Melody Tent.
Yep.
Everything from like Kids Bop.
Yep. We've seen like, old school stuff like the Temptations
yes.
And then we've seen, they have a lot of cool cover bands there. Like we've seen, who have we seen? Like a Grateful Dead cover band, but we've seen like Chicago and, all these different people and new music as well. And it's just great. Lots of country too. So country fans. Right.
So I believe Cape Cod Healthcare, I don't think it was the state. I don't know. Listen, first of all, huge disclaimer. We don't know anything about COVID.
No.
We're not claiming to direct you in any particular direction. We just know that testing has happened at the Melody Tent. And it has needed to happen. We've needed like these big test sites because the more tests we have, the more we can find out who's got it, the more we can isolate and all that stuff. Right. So Melody Tent has become one of those sites along with Barnstable County Fairgrounds, where people can get tested. And actually my husband got tested there and he said it was like smooth, went in, out, no, like the scheduling was easy. Everybody was kind and
it's amazing. They're doing it there. I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And so there's rumor and talk and, by the time this airs, who knows what will be going on.
Right.
But,
exactly.
Of it possibly also being a vaccination site as we
amazing.
Move our way out of the pandemic. So what we hope is that you only have to go there for a vaccination or a concert.
Yes.
And on their website, as of today, they are planning on live in-person entertainment starting in June.
Ooh.
We will see. We will see. I hope that they can.
Yeah.
And whatever they have to do to make it happen, because
less people or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But they need it. We need it. God knows the artists need it.
Agreed.
They're really hoping that that they'll be able to do that. But kudos to them to just be like, okay. And also, Sarah, you and I were talking before the show, like, I remember when the Melody Tent was a pandemic testing site.
People are going to be like, what? Our kids,
Grandma. Yeah. But no, for real, that was the thing. And they're like, okay, whatever.
They're like, sure, whatever.
Now I watch Britney Spears. They're like, all right. So staying on our arts theme and wrapping up this episode, our thing is the Cape Cod Chamber Orchestra. So what is a chamber orchestra? A chamber orchestra is a smaller orchestra, like big orchestra fits in a big venue. Chamber orchestra fits in literally a chamber or a room. And so they are a little bit more portable. So first of all, we have a chamber orchestra on the Cape, and their founder and director, Matt Cinto, they are more than musicians. Okay. They are good people. Even before the pandemic, they have been very engaged in the community, and Matt does a conducting class with the Alzheimer's Family Support Center.
Amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I've seen some video and some images of that, doing it with some of the people who are suffering from Alzheimer's and with the family members. And it's just a very cool thing. Music just literally touches you in a different place in your brain than words do, clearly, because half the time I can't find my words, but I can sing. He also does a residency at Steeple Street Music Academy in Mashpee Commons, which is a music school for kids.
Very cool.
Like they're getting like the real deal, like, big honchos in there.
Seriously.
I'm super impressed. And we know that the musicians really miss playing it. And that's the same for Cape Cod Chamber Orchestra. They were like, we have to figure this out. And so they did. Unfortunately, in order to get together, so wind instruments are kind of off the table for a little while for obvious reasons, but they got their strings together and they have been able to perform safely, masked and physically spaced. And they have soldiered on and recorded these concerts. And they did a whole winter concert series at the new church in Yarmouthport, which is not a church at all, by the way, but we should talk about the new church, by the way. Let's make a note on that. In Yarmouthport, it's not a church, it's a community and arts space, which was a church at one time. At any rate, they recorded there in the bleak midwinter with
beautiful.
Oh, so beautiful.
And they can do it masked, so they can all be together.
They can do it masked, and there's the soloists are beautiful. It just blows your mind. You can probably, I don't know when they stop showing those recordings on their site. Just go check and see what's up right now. But it just was awesome. Yeah. And then they're getting ready to record another one at Heritage Museums in the car barn. So now we talked about Heritage.
So cool.
So I bet the acoustics are awesome there.
I bet,
I am super impressed that they found that way.
Agreed.
To do that.
Yep.
And I was messaging them like, I would love to be a fly on the wall. Blah, blah, blah. And I went to their website and they're like, well, you kind of can be. So Patreon is a platform where artists, it's a subscription service where regular people like you and me can subscribe. We pay $5 a month, $25 a month, and you get special perks depending on what level you're at. So they've got a steady stream of money coming in, which they desperately need because they rely completely on events. Otherwise, I think, I don't know what else. And so in exchange, you get these behind the scenes looks, free merch. I got a membership to the Cape Cod Chamber Orchestra Patreon. And first of all, I get to message with Matt, no big deal. We're like besties now.
This was made for someone like you. This is perfect.
It really is. I'm such a nerd. But
also, I get the first look of everything.
I love that. But being able to be like, yo, Matt. And Matt's like, yo, Katie. I'm like, oh my God. But I'm getting like a t-shirt. They're going to put out, I think they're going to let us, the Patreon members, help them name the next concert.
No way. That's so cool. Yeah.
I am going to get a chance to be at a live rehearsal. So obviously, all the social distancing, but I'm going to be able to hear live music, Sarah.
That's really cool.
It's worth every penny.
Agreed.
And I'm just so excited. So anybody out there, so if you are like me and Sarah, and you're just dying to connect with anybody, people in the arts, that you check and see if your favorite artists have a Patreon account and subscribe to it. You'll be doing them a huge favor, and you will get some really cool perks.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
You should. And if you're an artist out there who's listening, get a Patreon account.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well.
Right? It's a perfect time to do it. So
agreed.
Anyway, we are so huge fans of the arts on Cape Cod. We know you've suffered. We've all suffered without you. We're so excited for you to come back. And we hope that our community will go out there and try to help it come back strong. Right?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's all we've got this week. So now you know what's good Cape Cod. Keep following us, and before long, you'll know Cape Cod like we know Cape Cod.